Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well. Today, as we come to our word from the Word, and today that word is aware. Aware. Now, if I ask you this, do you remember when you first became aware that you were a sinner? Now, think about that for a moment. Because now, if I ask you when did you first sin, you probably couldn't remember back. But at the time, did you really understand that that's what it was? As a child, we rebelled early on. That's our sin nature that we're born with, and we're born sinners. But see, as we've been going through the book of Numbers, it's not that the people weren't aware that they had done things wrong in the past. But there's times where, you begin to believe the gossip and you begin to believe the lies that other people are telling. And even when you see, like in the incident with Korah and everything that's gone on in Numbers chapter 16, and today we're in chapter 17, and everything that had gone on previously, and we see the wrath of God over and over again, and we see the saving atonement that Aaron steps there in the gap as we talked about yesterday. But even as we talk about those things, it's like all of a sudden now when God answers not only in that way, but then he continues to answer in a miracle in chapter 17, we see that all of a sudden the people become aware. Now, I'm going to give you a little synopsis, but I want you to read chapter 17. It's just a few verses, but we're going to read verses 12 and 13. But I want you to know that this was a time where he was making sure that God was making sure that everyone knew that he had chosen Aaron, that he had chosen his line, right? The line of Levites as well. And so here's verses 12 and 13. So the children of Israel spoke to Moses, saying, "Surely we die. We perish. We all perish. Whoever even comes near the tabernacle of the Lord must die. Shall we all utterly die?" Now we know already, as we talked about yesterday, that they had already been promised that they would not see the promised land because of their sin. But now they become worried because they're now aware, even more so, of the power of God. Now, this seems really strange to think that the Israelites, those who were rescued from Egypt and had already had all these things happen in their lives that they had seen and witnessed, it's amazing, right? To think that how in the world could they turn against God again? But, we could ask ourselves the same question. How many times has God worked a miracle in your life just for you to months or even a few years later act as though he had never intervened before? Saved you from one sickness, but yet you think the next sickness that he can't heal. Maybe you think, well, one financial burden that he saved me that time and he rescued me right as I was in need, but now this time you doubt if he's able. Now, there again, the situation can be whatever, but to think about that, it's not the fact that we don't know what God's going to do. It's the fact of when we begin to believe that he's not able. So at the heart of all that the people were fussing and complaining about, one, it was just jealousy of that God had placed Moses and Aaron in a position that they felt, Korah and all his gang, they thought that, who were they? We can be used of God too, but it was with the wrong attitude from the onset. But see, today, as we're talking about being aware, it's amazing that it takes miracle after miracle after miracle for God, and wrath after wrath after wrath, for God to be able to finally get through to these people, for them to see that he's in control, that who he wants to be in place is going to be in place. And that's the ones that's going to be protected as long as they are being obedient. Moses and Aaron, even Moses, right, as we'll get to, as he has his downfalls as well and has some slip-ups that cost him future blessings. But we all do that. We've all made mistakes that have cost us earthly blessings. And if we're honest, we've all done things that are going to cost us heavenly rewards. Not the reward of heaven, but are going to cost us rewards in heaven. But I wonder how long it's going to take us to be aware that if we'll be obedient to God, things will be a whole lot better off. Now, I know that's easier said than done. But I know that we can all do better at paying attention to what God is doing. We can all do better at paying attention to what God is trying to show us. Even through the miracle of the budding rod, which is going on here in chapter 17. We can pay attention to the way that he shows us he is choosing people for his positions. And we just simply trust in him. So I don't know about you, but I pray that today we'll all be more aware, not only of the presence of God, not only of the inner, the workings of God and the Holy Spirit within us all as believers, but I pray that we would be more aware of our sin, more aware of the downfall and the ways that we bring a bad name, a bad image to the name Christian, that we take away from the gospel. And I pray that God would convict us, that we would ask forgiveness, kind of going back to the atonement of yesterday, that we would spend time in prayer, confessing, asking forgiveness. And we know that he is faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Then we can really be aware of what God can do and desires to do through us each and every day. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.